You've seen the videos. This boring business makes more than your 9 to 5. Nobody talks about how rich laundromat owners, or parking lot owners, or gym owners actually are. Every one of them sounds convincing. None of them show you the actual numbers. So I went and pulled the real data on 10 of the most repeated secretly rich claims, including a few businesses I've already dug into deep on this channel, and I'm ranking them from least true to most true. Some of these are going to surprise you. Let's go. Number 10. Vending machines are pure passive income. This is probably the single most repeated claim in the entire genre. Buy a machine. Fill it once a month. Money falls into your bank account while you sleep. Verdict: mostly false. And operators will tell you so themselves. People who've actually run routes describe it as maybe 70% passive at best, not zero effort. You're restocking, unjamming bill acceptors, fixing card readers, and dealing with locations that quietly want a cut of your sales, sometimes 5 to 15% off the top, which most beginners forget to even factor into their math. Per machine profit can range anywhere from under $100 a month to several thousand, and that entire spread comes down to one thing: how much unglamorous legwork you put into finding the right location. It's a real business, wearing a passive income costume. Number 9. Parking lots just print money with zero maintenance. The pitch is beautiful. No roof, no plumbing, no tenants calling you at 2 a.m. Just paint some lines and collect cash. Verdict: real, but wildly inconsistent depending on who you ask. And that inconsistency is the story. Some analyses put parking margins in the modest 10 to 25% range. Others, especially on well-located urban land with automated payment systems, put net operating margins as high as 60 to 70%. That's an enormous gap for the same basic business. The difference is almost entirely location, and whether you're self-managing or handing it to a third-party operator who takes a slice for the privilege of making it hands-off. This one's true in the best-case version and only mediocre in the average one. Number 8. Gyms are goldmine because everyone has a New Year's resolution. I did a full breakdown on this one already, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Short version: the gym business survives specifically because 2 out of 3 members barely ever show up. And that's not a bug. It's the entire model. But here's why it doesn't rank higher on this list. The largest gym chains in history have still filed for bankruptcy. More than once, because the fixed costs and debt load can outrun even a room full of paying but absent members. Verdict: true but fragile. The math works beautifully until it doesn't. Number 7. Wet market stalls are basically free money from crowds. Also did a full one on this. The takeaway that surprised me most researching it: a packed, chaotic stall isn't automatically the profitable one. Fresh produce shrink alone averages around 11 to 13% industry-wide, and that's stock bought with real cash that becomes a total write-off by the next day. The busiest stall in the market can genuinely be bleeding more than the quiet one next door with a tighter buying discipline. Verdict: it depends entirely on the owner's judgment every single morning, which makes this one of the least passive businesses on this entire list. Popularity be damned. Number 6. Automatic car washes basically run themselves at insane margins. Verdict: true, and more true than most people even claim. In-bay automatic washes report profit margins per car that can run around 65 to 70%, and net margins across the industry commonly land in the 20 to 40% range, sometimes touching 60% at well-run operations. The catch nobody mentions in the hype videos: the upfront capital is brutal, often $150,000 to $260,000, plus just for equipment and build-out, and payback typically takes 2 to 4 years, even in a good location. The margin claim checks out. The get-rich-quick framing does not. Number 5. Laundromats are the ultimate boring cash cow. Verdict: genuinely true. and one of the few on this list where the reality basically matches the meme. Industry-wide net margins consistently land in the 20 to 35% range, sometimes higher, and laundromats carry one of the highest 5-year survival rates of any small business category, north of 90%. The reason it works is almost embarrassingly simple. Clean clothes are a non-negotiable need, staffing requirements are structurally low, and once the machines are paid off, the ongoing cost to keep them running is genuinely minimal. This one earns the hype. Number 4. Self-storage units are just empty boxes that print money. Verdict: true, and arguably underrated even by the people hyping it. Industry-wide profit margins commonly land between 40 and 60%, some of the highest of any real estate asset class, because the cost structure is almost absurdly light. No tenants calling about a broken water heater. No unit needing a new roof. The one real constraint is occupancy. Below roughly 65 to 70% occupancy, the math struggles. Above 80 to 90%, it becomes one of the most efficient cash machines in small business. The boxes that print money meme genuinely holds up here. Number 3. Gold shops make a fortune just selling gold. I covered this one in depth too, and here's the twist that makes it rank this high. The meme is true, but for the opposite reason people assume. The actual gold, the shiny stuff on the price board, runs a razor-thin 3 to 5% margin. The real fortune is hiding in making charges that can run anywhere from 3% on simple pieces up to 35% on elaborate handmade work, plus a quiet second profit cycle every time a customer sells old jewelry back at melt value, losing the labor premium they originally paid. The business is secretly rich, just not for the reason the crowd standing in the shop assumes. Number 2. Manpower supply companies just skim a markup off workers. Also covered this one, and it ranks near the top for the exact same reason the gold shop does. The obvious explanation is wrong, but the underlying claim turns out to be true anyway. The visible markup people assume is pure profit actually nets out to a thin 3 to 8% after burden costs. The real money is stacked in places nobody outside the industry ever checks. Overtime hours that scale margin 1.5x automatically. A clean safety record quietly lowering insurance cost below what's priced into the client's rate. Payroll float that functions like a private bank spread, and worker placements that get monetized twice through conversion fees. Secretly rich, confirmed, just not for the reason the invoice suggests. Number 1. Textile exporters get rich just selling clothes overseas. This one takes the top spot, because the reality is even better than the meme, once you know where to look. Yes, finished garments carry real margin over raw fabric. But the biggest, quietest profit sources sit completely outside the sale price. Government duty drawback schemes that hand back several percentage points of export value after the shipment's already gone. A currency gap between order confirmation and final payment that can silently widen margins for months at a time with zero effort. And private label premiums that let the exact same production cost command a completely different price tag. None of that appears anywhere on the invoice the overseas buyer is holding. Verdict: absolutely true, and the most invisible version of secretly rich on this entire list. The pattern across all 10. Here's what all of this actually adds up to. The businesses that live up to the hype, laundromats, self-storage, car washes, earn it through boring structural math, low labor, low maintenance, essential recurring demand. The businesses that get called secretly rich for the wrong reason, gyms, gold shops, manpower supply, textile export, are actually hiding their real profit somewhere the customer never thinks to look. Unused memberships, making charges, safety records, government rebates. And the ones everyone assumes are automatic cash, vending machines, parking lots, turn out to depend entirely on how much unglamorous work someone's willing to put in. The common thread through every single one of these? The business that looks the most passive from the outside is almost never the one that's actually passive on the inside.